The Elder Scrolls has been going strong since 1994, and the quality has ranged significantly. Welcome to WatchMojo, and today we are ranking the Elder Scrolls games. For this list, we'll be ranking all the major entries in the Elder Scrolls series from worst to best based on a combination of personal opinion and general reception. Legends won't be included though, because that's a card game, not a mainline adventure RPG like the rest of these entries.
Place a card on one of two sides, called lanes.
Number 10, The Elder Scrolls Travels Shadowkey. Do you all remember Shadowkey? No, of course you don't. Pete Hines doesn't even remember Shadowkey, and that's for a good reason. Shadowkey was the third installment in the portable Elder Scrolls Travel series after the equally forgettable Dawnstar and Stormhold on early cell phones. Shadowkey, however, was released for the Nokia N-Gage. Remember that thing? But even though it was arguably the best of those three games, it still wasn't very good. Few people played it, and those that did reported a host of technical shortcomings that did a disservice to the rich and detailed Elder Scrolls series. But then again, it was the N-Gage. We shouldn't have expected much. Do you have a smartphone or PC? Do you like building teams and strategizing? How about competing in tournaments and running dungeons? If you answered yes to any of these questions, you know I'm gonna have to recommend Raid: Shadow Legends. Raid is a dark fantasy RPG where you collect and customize hundreds of champions to build your ultimate team. Want to make your champion even stronger? Raid has challenging dungeons where you can win artifacts that take your champion to the next level. You can get started right now. Go to the video description, click on the special links, and if you're a new player, you'll get 100,000 silver and one free champion, Slasher, who is an absolute savage. Look at the face on this guy. All this treasure will be waiting for you right here. Good luck, and I'll see you there. Number 9, The Elder Scrolls Blades. It may be the best dedicated handheld Elder Scrolls game you can get, but that's still not saying much. This is a free-to-play mobile game that takes place between Oblivion and Skyrim. It is primarily focused on combat, and the world design is linear due to the limitations of mobile devices. Other Elder Scrolls staples have also been excluded, and the game places a large emphasis on grinding and wait timers. Blades is still in early access and currently has some technical issues. Let's hope that the finished product will be a better, smoother experience. I mean, it can't be any worse than the other Bethesda disaster, right? Number 8, The Elder Scrolls Adventures: Redguard.
Yield! Yield! A sharp... I'm matched up! You're quite resourceful.
Redguard was certainly something different for the Elder Scrolls series. For this release, Bethesda eschewed the traditional ES gameplay in favor of a more action-oriented game in the vein of Tomb Raider and Prince of Persia.
Take that! Cross with me, Redguard.
It could only be played in third person, the levels were limited in linear, and the protagonist was scripted and non-customizable. Despite the massive deviation, Redguard did a few things brilliantly. The script was wonderful, it told an intriguing story, and it richly expanded on the lore of the series. But the gameplay was utter trash, and Redguard flopped hard. Its legacy is still felt in some ways, but it has long since faded into history and obscurity.
Remind me in hell.
But where's the money in that?
Number 7, An Elder Scrolls Legend: Battlespire. Battlespire came just 1 year after Daggerfall, and it was originally designed as an expansion pack to the game, but ended up being its own standalone title. Like Redguard, which was being developed at the same time, Battlespire is a little different from the traditional Elder Scrolls experience.
Might as well grab the seals of the 13 patrons of the 8 powers while you're at it.
It contains more straightforward action gameplay, and there are no merchants, as it was designed to take advantage of Daggerfall's dungeon crawling mechanics. As such, your mileage may vary. Some people enjoy the more straightforward experience and the lore. Others hate the repetitive level design, artificial difficulty, and lack of traditional Elder Scrolls features. It's certainly not a bad game, but it's not one of the better ones either.
Take the password and go to my chambers. Sever the last anchor and we shall be done.
Number 6. The Elder Scrolls Arena. It's hard to recommend Arena to modern players. This game was obviously very influential, and it was a technological marvel in 1994. The procedurally designed open world was breathtaking and unimaginably expansive, the combat mechanics felt fluid and natural, and the unique day-night cycle was a novel feature. But like we said, the game was a technological marvel in 1994. Your enjoyment of Arena depends solely on your ability to enjoy older games. It seems borderline archaic now, and what was once fresh and inventive has long since become antiquated. But we can't deny the influence of the game itself. It not only kickstarted the Elder Scrolls series, but it helped change the way CRPGs were made. Number 5. The Elder Scrolls Online. Appropriately set in the middle of the list is what is easily the most divisive entry. We're sure many Elder Scrolls fans who played the game after Skyrim were left bitterly disappointed. Online is nothing like Skyrim, let alone anything else in the Elder Scrolls series, since it's an MMORPG. If you go in expecting Elder Scrolls 6, you won't find much to love. On the other hand, if you go in with the right expectations, you'll have a blast. It plays well, it features many well-written quests, and it contains a lot of interesting locations and bits of lore. If you absolutely need more Elder Scrolls in your life and you want to experience more time in Tamriel, then playing online is a must. Number 4. The Elder Scrolls II: Daggerfall.
But his spirit does not rest. With a spectral army, he haunts his former kingdom, crying for revenge.
Daggerfall was an incredible improvement on Arena, and despite some issues with the game's bugs at the time, critics hailed it as one of the best RPGs ever. It's certainly not without its flaws. The aforementioned bugs can get annoying, the gameplay is dated, and the world is almost too big. It can certainly collapse under the weight of its own ambition, but it's this very ambition that makes Daggerfall such a classic. Even if it's easy to spot the flaws, you have to commend Bethesda for what they attempted to do. Daggerfall is a sprawling and incredibly dense experience, and that works to both its benefit and its detriment. Number 3. The Elder Scrolls IV: Oblivion.
For 65 years, I've ruled as Tamriel's emperor. But for all these years, I've never been the ruler of my own dreams.
Oblivion took the Elder Scrolls series in a far more technologically impressive direction. Bethesda really went all out for this one, increasing artificial intelligence of the NPCs, improving the lighting and physics engine, and utilizing voice acting for the first time.
Your stars are not mine. Today the warrior shall prove a stalwart companion when fortune fades.
But despite all that prowess, Oblivion still had its detractors. People couldn't help but compare it to Morrowind, and when you do that, it obviously falls a little short. Things like the leveling system and the setting of Cyrodiil also proved a little controversial with longtime players. Others adore the game and call it their favorite of the series. How much you enjoy Oblivion depends entirely on what you want out of an Elder Scrolls game.
As the Grand Master of the Blades, I would be honored to accept you into our order. Will you join us?
Number 2. The Elder Scrolls V: Skyrim. Skyrim is perhaps one of the most important video games of all time. First of all, it is by far the most popular Elder Scrolls game, selling upwards of 30 million copies. It also continues to be relevant thanks to persistent upgrades like the remastered version in 2016, a Switch port, and even its recent move into virtual reality. Now we just need it to come to our microwaves. It's clear that Skyrim is a gaming phenomenon, which is in large part due to its incredible and imaginative world, and the memes.
Then call me Sheogorath, Daedric, Prince of Madness.
There are some detractors, particularly those who point at the simplified gameplay mechanics, the persistent bugs, and the weightless melee combat. But those squabbles aside, Skyrim is a masterclass in game design and world building, and we can rightly call it a classic.
Perhaps it's best I take my leave. A good day to you, sir. I said good day!
Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. You have the option to be notified for occasional videos or all of them. If you're on your phone, make sure to go into your settings and switch on notifications. Number 1. The Elder Scrolls III: Morrowind.
Coward!
There's a reason so many Elder Scrolls fans place Morrowind on a pedestal. It's not only the greatest game in the series, but arguably one of the greatest fantasy RPGs ever made. This game was a major leap from the ambitious but generally flawed Daggerfall, and is arguably the first Elder Scrolls game to truly marry its vision with its mechanics. The world was expansive yet fluid, and it creatively fused traditional medieval fantasy with Eastern cultural elements and styles. It also nailed the essence of creative freedom, allowing the user to learn the lore and interact with the world on their own terms. It didn't hold your hand, and it didn't need to. We simply got lost in the magic.
For you, our thanks and blessing, our gift and token given. Come, take this thing from the hand of God.
In the mood for more awesome gaming content? Be sure to check out this video here on Mojo Plays. And don't forget to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos.